Welcome back to another episode of Bar in the Brain, where me, Tonée, Earle, and my bestie, Taylor Fawumi, break down media, pop culture, and things like that as it pertains to the intersection of law and mental health. And we are so excited to get into this episode because we are talking about the final final four-ish episodes of All Her Fault. And we realized we did a lot of digging into Peter's character. And so we are going to take this time to kind of just really dive into some of the other characters and some of the major kind of, mental trauma that these characters went through. And so to start, I think you need to tell me about... We're going to have to talk about Peter a little bit because we have to talk about this scene where Peter is telling his brother what really happened and how his brother became permanently injured and disabled.
Yeah, so it kind of goes back to, typically with narcissists, they avoid accountability at all costs. So the fact that he has been living with this secret for decades, the fact that he would allow his little sister to believe that his brother getting injured was her fault. Meanwhile, he knows he tripped him and caused his injury. It just solidifies things. Obviously, we don't usually see narcissism until someone becomes an adult, but I think as even a young child, because I want to say, I can't remember how much older Peter was older than his siblings,
I
but
think it was like 9 or 10 or years or something like that.
Yeah, so even at that point, he feels some sense of responsibility for his
Yeah.
siblings. He's taken on this leadership role and kind of like solidified this personality even as a child, where he saw the cause and effect of something he did, and instead of taking ownership, taking accountability, telling his little sister, like, this wasn't your fault, this was actually my fault,
Yeah.
he says nothing.
Exactly. And I think it's so interesting how his brother was able to even identify that there was something off in Peter's story that he needed to question, because I'm sure they've discussed that fateful day, prior to this instance. And so at this point, I think the brother was already kind of over Peter and his being overbearing and trying to appease him in this time while his son is missing, but acknowledging that he's kind of bossy.
Yeah. And also that, a lot of what Peter does, it shows to me he's doing out of guilt. Like, even
Yeah.
when it comes to like the caretaking he has for his brother and
Yeah.
his sister, because he loves to rub in his sister's face all the different faults she has and how she's, disappointed the family. She was in addiction, going to rehab multiple times, things like that.
Yeah.
He loves to remind his siblings of their failures and like why they need him so much. But actually, when you look at this episode, it shows how desperate Peter is for that need of control of everybody in all situations. And it shows him truly becoming undone when he realizes they can see through his bullshit now.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder if you could it be correlated that if Peter's sister had truly known who caused the accident, then she may not have become addicted to substances.
Yeah, I don't think we could say that for sure. Because, a lot of other different life events could have
Sure.
taken her down that path, just being, a part of an affluent family and having access, going to college and seeing these things, experiencing these things. But it sounds like there is a direct correlation. It sounds like she was drowning herself in drugs because she felt bad because she thought she disabled her brother. So, yeah, her life could have been dramatically different if the person who actually caused the trauma was held accountable, and, you know, things looked a little different in them growing up, maybe she wouldn't have been addicted to drugs, but maybe
Right.
she would have been, or maybe it wouldn't have been maybe this big of an issue where she's struggling to stay sober over years. Maybe she would have just had, you know, the typical college experience or something
Right.
like that. But it sounds like she was constantly using to forget that, you know, she altered her brother's life forever, and try not to hate herself and move forward while actively trying to have a solid relationship with her brother.
Right.
I think
Wow.
you could tell just how she talks to him, and like when she's around him, she just looks like she feels bad all the time because she, you know, she's met with him struggling to walk. She's met with him talking about he's in pain. She's met with him seeing him in the chair, like all these different things. And, you know, she probably feels like, wow, this is really all my fault. And trying to cope with that, unfortunately, she turned to drugs.
I love you just said it's really all my fault, because I didn't even put two and two together, the theme of the blame being on the sister also being a part of the title to this piece, that it was all her fault, so we thought, as to why the brother had his injury. But wow, this man was really at the center of everything that went wrong, and the blame was put on a woman. That is crazy. That is crazy. They did a really, I think that's one of the things I love about this show, is just how, I mean, it was just so well done. It was so well done. The creators of the show really took their time to create a masterpiece that's just so three-dimensional. Like, it's amazing work. And so I did want to go into the sister a little bit, and I wanted to talk about her relationship with our good guy, Colin Dobbs. And in episode 5, Peter doesn't really like that Leah has been dating Colin, and because Colin is an addict and he is a gambling addict. And so can you talk a little bit to why that is, that it is, it's kind of, I think, is it an unwritten rule, do you know, or is it a written rule?
I mean, it's not a per se unwritten rule, but typically folks who are struggling in addiction would not think it is beneficial, or it would be advisable to date another addict, especially if you don't have years of sobriety under your belt, because this is a very vulnerable time, and it's hard for you to really dig in and, you know, take accountability and do some self-reflection for yourself and talk about your struggles while actively being with a partner who's trying to do the same thing.
Right.
And both of you trying to support one another, you might put too much on your plate, and then you also might put too much on theirs, and vice versa. So it could be counterproductive. And then typically what happens is someone ends up relapsing, as we saw in the episode that was Colin. He relapsed in a big way.
He did.
But Leah was able to stay sober, and that's typically what happens. And then you might have a situation where the person who relapsed now resents the person who is staying sober, because it's almost like, okay, I backslid. It would have been better if you backslid with
Misery
me.
loves company.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I mean, I can definitely see why that is a thing, because I think about how, like, when me and my husband Akeem, when we get on these like diets and we're trying to hold each other accountable, and it's one of those things where if one of us breaks it, the other one is bound to break it, because, you know, fatties also love company. So I definitely get that. And, you know, it was interesting because at the same time that Leah and Colin's relationship had came out, the brother, and I'm blanking on the names today, but Brian, yes. Brian had also learned that not only Was his brother the one that caused him to be paralyzed for the rest of his life? His brother was also the one who is preventing him from the chance to not be paralyzed for the rest of his life. And they're all kind of in the room at the same time. And Leah's just like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah. Because my thing is, why wouldn't you want our brother to get better?
And
especially because this is your fault. Like, you tripped him up. He fell, like, twisted his body in a way where he is now paralyzed or at least disabled forever. Literally, this surgery could give him a better quality of life. You don't want that for your brother?
And Peter,
but no, he doesn't. He wants to be needed. He wants his brother to, he wants his brother to need him. He wants to take care of his brother. He feels like he has to have this unwavering dedication to his brother because of some stuff that he did, but also he doesn't want to relinquish control. He doesn't want his brother to get better. He doesn't want him to flourish, move away, get a wife, have kids, and do what, any person would want to do with their life. Instead, he wants to keep him under his thumb.
Yeah. I did wonder if the way Jake Lacy was acting is like an extreme version of narcissism, because to be able to openly now get to a point where you're admitting all these things you've done and the reasons behind why you've done it and how selfish you are as a person, and to not really have any remorse or any real guilt for what you've done, is that like does he need to be in a inpatient place? Do we need to be worried?
I mean, yeah, we should be worried, be very afraid. But I will say, even though, it truly showed the narcissism, I think what makes him dangerous, or makes, narcissists dangerous, is like exactly what we saw on the show. Like, they will do anything to keep the lie going.
Yeah.
And the only reason he told the truth is because they backed him into a corner and they gave him no option. Obviously, if it wasn't a room full of people, obviously he couldn't kill his siblings. But do I think he was above that? No. I think he would have took them out if they were, if it was something where it was going to potentially affect his way of life, or put him in jail, or do anything where it will jeopardize anything that he holds dearly. He's going to take you out. Just like what he did to Milo's birth mother, like, just to keep her quiet as she was trying to plead with, what is her name? Marissa. When she was trying to plead to Marissa and say, you don't know the type of man he is. I just need you to protect Milo. She wasn't even, at that point, she was like, you guys got it. You guys have money. You have Milo. I realized that I've lost him. I'm throwing up the white flag. She was literally surrendering, but she still gets shot in the head.
She does. And I do want to go into Carrie Finch a little bit and kind of talk about, I think Carrie Finch carried a lot of trauma, and we can't go too far into her past because the show didn't allow us to go too far into her past. Like, we do know, she grew up in a certain part of town, and she had this boyfriend, and she was actually pretty smart, and she has this kind of, it's not a disability, but it's I don't even want to say disease. What is it?
It's a disorder.
Disorder.
Like a disorder. Like, I don't know if it would be considered a mental health disorder, but I think it's a medical disorder. Like a situation where your senses are intermingled in a certain way. Like,
you taste colors.
You taste colors.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. So she has that, and she gets pregnant, and the show organizes itself in a way where we're thinking maybe she had a miscarriage, and it's kind of like a straw situation where, she can't deal with the grief of her lost child. And that's what we're thinking. Only to find out that her child was stolen from a car crash scene. So it was like a hit and run for real. And then she stumbles upon a small child who has the same disorder.
Synesthesia. I just looked it up.
Synesthesia. And she can see this because Milo's basically telling her, you know, how he's different and stuff like that. And when I see this scene, I'm thinking like,
that's weird.
That's real weird. And why Milo don't know not to talk to strangers? But okay.
Right.
Just having a fun little conversation. That was weird. And so talk to me about Carrie. Like, talk to me about the trauma she likely experienced from the car accident and not being and knowing her baby is alive, but the factual reality telling her he's not.
Yeah. So I think which was interesting about Carrie to me is the lengths she went to try to solidify her points on trying to almost like prove that Milo was hers. If she would have put that same effort into doing things the right way, she could have gotten Milo back. But instead, she almost went this sinister route where she's infiltrating the different families, she's getting information, she's doing all these different things to like kidnap him, which she might not realize then, but you're traumatizing your baby. Like if she thought from the very jump, like, this is my son, like this is our son, like telling even the father, like, I believe this is our baby. So if you truly believe that, you could have done things a different way and you could have had your son back. Now, would Marissa and Peter would have fought for him? Absolutely. Because they got money and that they've raised him and all those different things. But also, you can't argue with DNA. So they would have been like, okay, so how did your like Carrie Finch's dead baby get in the car, and how did you guys have Milo?
Right.
Somebody had to switch the babies. So my thing is, it could have been, obviously the show wouldn't have been what it was if that did happen. But I think it just goes to just kind of like Carrie not being emotionally mature and not really thinking things out, because you can kind of see as it gets towards the end of the show, she realized that she made a big mistake. Doing all this, like, Milo's face is plastered everywhere, billboards, national news, like,
as is her face, yeah.
As is her face. And even with putting like little contacts in and wearing a wig, people are still looking like, you look like that lady on TV. So my thing is, like, she didn't realize how much of an impact snatching him was going to do. And then also, you kind of saw a little bit of her background in the sense of she didn't really have a supportive family. It looked like she grew up poor. She was often misunderstood or seemed like dismissed in her household. She fell in love with the guy. And in order for them to, think about how they're going to provide for their baby, unfortunately, he was selling drugs. So he gets locked up. She is big pregnant, stressed over that, trying to figure out, what am I going to do? I'm in this double wide trailer by myself. My man and got snatched up. I think they gave him how long did they give him? Was it 8 years or something like that?
It was about the time Milo, as old as Milo was.
Right. So Milo was like, what, like 6?
6, I think.
I think 6 or like 5 or 6. So
yeah, he was young.
So he gave him, he's been locked up the whole time Milo has been in existence for this drug charge. So she's doing it all by herself. And then obviously she has that car accident where she is told her baby died. So probably going through postpartum, going through a grieving process, thinking her baby died, and, trying to start her life over and figure out where does she go from here. And then one day just riding with her dad, going on the errands he goes on because he's a bookie. So he's looking for Colin. And in the midst of that transaction of just riding with her dad, as fate would have it, she meets Milo. And it seemed like instantly felt like she had a connection.
Yeah.
She knew that, they were connected somehow. And then it's almost like she made it her life's mission to find out more about him, to be around him, to see him, to,
Mm-hmm.
you know, all the different things. And I just feel like life could have been so different if she would have did things differently, where she might have gotten a happy ending
Yeah, for sure.
and not been dead.
For sure. I wonder if her going about it in this like scheme type of, you know, not a robbery way was a trauma response to the fact that
You stole him from me.
he was
stealing him.
she knew he was stolen, and she's dealt with her fiance or boyfriend going to jail and dealing with law enforcement, and she could acknowledge that Milo's parents had a lot of money, because when she did meet Milo, they were at like a vacation home, right? Yep. So I'm wondering if, you know, yes, in a perfect, just filled world, I could see her going to the police claiming my son was stolen from me by this person and I need to get a DNA test. But I think someone from her position, I could understand thinking I have to take it into my own hands because the world has already taken so much from me.
I agree, but guess what? She also could have, you know, not trying to encourage the sneakiness, but sneakiness for me would have been like, okay, I'm a nanny for a family that's friends with him. Oops, I got a piece of his hair that was stuck on to the kid that I nanny for, and I just so happened to take that hair and match it with mine, and look what happened. I would have paid for the test.
But it's still...
Or you going for milkshakes, I'd have took that straw and took that, you know, get that DNA tested. It could have been so innocent.
And I like the way you're thinking, but from a legal standpoint, it would still be her word versus theirs in order to ask the judge to get a DNA test where we can see the chain of command of the DNA, right? It's one thing for someone to say, I tested his hair. I had access to him and I tested his hair. I don't truly know you tested his hair. It's very another true. Thing for the two of us to go to the doctor's office and the doctor see us and they take a sample and they take a sample, because that's what happens in family court, right? They get, you know, the people have to go and they get the sample. So I still hear you. I think that definitely could have been a way for her to be super, super duper sure that Milo was her son. But I think I could definitely still see some hesitation in thinking, even if I brought this DNA test to the police, it's still going to be a fight. Because and even still, again, I don't know how much Carrie knew, but it would not have been in the best interest of Milo to just go back to this strange woman who is his mother, right? There would have to be some visitation discussions, and there'd have to be some reunification things, and Peter's ass would have ended up being in jail. Okay, now that would have definitely happened, right? But
good for everybody.
Good for everybody. But yeah, so I definitely hear you on that. I do think potentially there was a more convenient route to getting Milo.
Yeah, that didn't have to end with her dying. Like when I watched it for the first time, I felt like I had such a visceral reaction because I was like, wow, this young woman's life is just snubbed for no reason other than to keep Peter from taking accountability.
And you know, like, I have
just to keep Peter, because my thing is, Marissa already knew he was a monster.
She stopped caring the day Milo went missing.
Exactly. That, and like it was so funny. Like I think she said, I can't remember what episode. She was like, "Did your mistress do this? Like, are you cheating?"
Bro,
like
she said, "You can have her,
son. You can have her. Just
you can have her,
son. Like,
give me my child."
She was not tripping, but I also just feel like he's trying to save face for Marissa for their relationship. But I feel like she been gone. You been lost her.
Oh,
especially once she found out how you've been lying all these years about your siblings.
Yeah,
like that was like his bread and butter of conversation.
Exactly.
Like, I'm taking care of both my siblings. One's a fuck up who is a drug addict, and one is disabled. Da, da, da. Like, he had this whole storyline. Meanwhile, forgetting key points.
And you know what's crazy? Going back to the theme and the name, when we were talking about how Carrie stumbled upon meeting Milo, it was Colin's fault why Carrie's dad was at the house, right? It's Carrie's dad's fault why Carrie's plan couldn't go off without a hitch the way it did, the way she initially planned it, because the dad's over here trying to get some money, get some ransom. Oh my God. These men were trash.
All
the men's fault. I really love how they did that, because the whole movie, I'm keeping my eyes on the woman. I'm like, keep my eyes on the woman, because that's the name of the movie. Only to find out the woman is innocent. They innocent. Isn't that crazy?
Just victims of circumstances. Victims of circumstances. And the men was able to skate free.
Skate on by.
Some of them no, because
some died. Colin died.
A lot of them died. Like
Daddy
Colin,
died. Yeah.
The dad died.
Mm-hmm.
The baby dad died.
Peter died.
Carrie died.
And then it became all her fault. Oh man. So okay. Speaking of deaths, the scene where Carrie's dad dies. What type of trauma is Milo walking away from when he figures out that it was his daddy who let him stay masked as they traveled to the trunk of his car, where he drove him halfway to have him be found by the police and then picked up by his daddy?
I mean, I don't know if abandonment issues encompasses all the things that Milo can potentially really be dealing with as he gets older.
Yeah.
I think Peter just wasn't thinking. Like, why would you ever? First of all, the fact that you murdered someone while your son was in the hotel is outrageous. Just literally in the bathroom. He's in the bathroom, and you literally just killed a man, and thank God you covered his face, and you take him so he didn't see the dead man's body chilling on the floor. And then you take him, probably not talking to him, not consoling him. I'm sure he's scared because he's been with all these random people that he's never been around. They've been nice to him, but I'm sure, like he said a couple of times, like, I miss my bed. When am I going to see my mom? And like things like that. So he's already trying to, with him being so young and, developing and learning and trying to understand, he's already got a lot going on. And then he's having all of these unnecessary experiences. And thank goodness that the police got to him in time, because my thing is, you leave a trunk open with a baby in it, you are liable never to see this baby again. Like, ever. Because people are creeps. They'll see this little white baby in the trunk, nobody around. They'll be like, we're going to sell this one, or something horrific like that. So I'm glad nothing like that happened. But then obviously the police get him. They recognize that it's Milo. And then guess what? Milo is now swarmed with a whole bunch of cameras, a whole bunch of people. All he probably wants is just his mom and dad. Mm-hmm. And he has to deal with all of the media folks and the frenzy. Yep. And that's probably a lot for his little brain to try to even wrap around. But then as he gets older, he'll recognize that, wow, this was all just a ploy. This was all just for the plot. Like I had to be found in this crazy way in this motel parking lot in the trunk. Just hey, I'm
on top
here.
Exactly. On top of him now growing up without a father, who ain't shit, but
he
was his father. I mean, you right?
And an active dad, dad in his life.
This boy's been as traumatized, probably as much as his mama. That cycle of trauma is just living through him because his daddy couldn't let him stay with his mama. That's really that really is unfortunate, and I think about dang, I pray baby Milo don't learn about his upbringing.
Don't think Marissa's going to bring it up ever. I think as he gets older, He might just want to Google himself one day. I think we all do it at some point. And he might find that out. But hopefully, maybe when he's in maybe like high school, like freshman year of high school, maybe Marissa will sit him down and say, hey, these are some of the things that happened when you were a little bit younger. If you decide to look into it, I just want you to know what the truth is. Because remember, they were spewing all types of nonsense about her, about Jenny, and all types of stuff online. And she shouldn't want him to be blindsided by that. So being able to have that conversation with him, be truthful in a space where we're not trying to inflict harm, or we're not trying to have him develop trauma because of these different things, but just for him to be aware. Like, if he remembers his father as a good man, you don't want to tarnish those memories, because even though he wasn't a good man in general, he was a good man to Milo. He took care of Milo. He wasn't, he didn't mistreat him. He didn't abuse him. He was an active father, and he loved him.
And his nightmares.
Right. But you don't want to tarnish that, especially because this person can no longer defend themselves.
Right.
They can't advocate for themselves because he is dead. He's never coming back. You know the truth, but we don't have to traumatize Milo, because in what way would that be productive for him?
Right.
In what way does that serve him? You don't want him to then develop a complex, or a personality disorder or something like that, trying to maybe be the exact opposite of his dad.
Right.
And it turns into something toxic.
Right.
So instead, you don't have to honor his memory, but just say your father loved you.
Right.
Your father, you had a good, your father was good to you. He might have made a lot of mistakes, and unfortunately he is no longer here, but he loved you. And just keep it simple.
Yeah, no.
Don't have to make things up. She doesn't have to lie.
Yeah.
But,
Well, I think there is going to be a little bit lying happening, because she murdered him. And my question is, do you think she should have to pay for that crime?
I mean, I am a believer of justice. I feel like if you kill somebody, you should be held accountable. However, Peter murked a whole bunch of people and didn't even feel bad about it. I think she felt, in a way, it was self-defense in a sense, because she felt like she would never be able to get away from Peter. And she saw the lengths he would go to get what he wants.
Right.
So I think she felt like it was me or him.
Well,
and almost like that mother's love, I'm going to protect Milo at all costs, and I'm going to protect him from you, because you'll literally kill, do anything to maintain control and to create the narrative that you want. So
there was a little. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I know. I was just going to say, I think, she thought about all those things.
Yeah.
She saw that she wouldn't be able to divorce him. She wouldn't be able to start over a new life. She wouldn't be able to. You think Peter was going to let that happen?
His ass would have been in jail. What do he have on her? Why wouldn't his ass be in jail?
I think he would have killed her. I think he would have murdered her.
Well, if it was a matter of I kill you before you kill me, because I don't think Peter was going to kill her.
If he felt like she was going to go to the police because she was horrified at him killing Carrie in front of her, and Carrie basically making this death declaration that Milo's actually my son and your husband's a monster and he stole my baby and replaced my baby with your dead baby, and her dying in front of him. I think if he thought that she was going to go to the police, turn him in, he would have killed her for sure.
But I remember that he threatened her in a way, but I still don't get why. I mean, how would he have killed her? The police officer basically let Marissa off the hook when it came to, one, having a child who was abducted, Uh, and it's likely because that child now no longer has any family on this earth. But hello, Peter was the reason that child ain't got no more family. So
Yeah.
I like the same way you felt that Carrie could have probably went through the justice system to get Milo back. I feel like Marissa probably could have went through the justice system to hold on to Milo and get Peter's ass in jail. Because I also don't see a world where a white woman such as Marissa's stature couldn't get away with figuring out how to keep her son at the end of all of this.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah.
You know, I felt like it could have went that way, but the show needed to have that murder mystery effect at the end. And again, I like how towards the end you now get to see what the women are at fault for, because excuse me, even Leah was sort of instrumental in Marissa not going down for Peter's death. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, because and that's the thing, like the way she did it was like savage, like just eating some soy and tonguing her husband down. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize I ate something that had soy in it. And oh my gosh, just a expired EpiPen. Whatever are we going to do? Your throat is closing and you're having anaphylactic shock. Oh no, let me call 911. Like, obviously he's going to be dead before they get there.
My gosh. I would have loved for there to be a season 2 that focused on the legal aspect of what Marissa did, because what? that was such a creative,
it was
first degree murder plan.
It was. And my thing is, it literally took no preparation, really. Like
get rid of the Eppies.
Well, she switched it, so she had the EpiPen,
right? But it was in the box, right.
Yeah, and the current one was in the box,
exactly.
So because the thing is, she couldn't have it look like she forgot the EpiPen altogether, and she couldn't make it look like, she wasn't being aware of anything because of how careful she has been up to that point.
A good detective would have caught on to her, because the newer EpiPen was in the box and the older EpiPen was in his pocket. So that don't really make sense. But
it doesn't.
It don't really make sense. And you've been married to him for how long? And you don't remember that he has a soy allergy? But then they tried that she did say like she wasn't aware she had eaten soy.
She wasn't aware. She said the cards that said soy had been switched.
Yes.
And how can we prove that they were not? You don't have proof that they were not switched. It's the caterer's fault.
No, I think she would get off. I do think she would get off. But I think that police officer, Alcaraz, he needed to do his job.
He saw through the lines, but he couldn't even do anything because he took some evidence out the evidence thing so his son could go to that school.
Look.
It was shady too.
Look. And I think this show did such a great job of showing the storyline of how a cop dedicated to their job, or someone in law enforcement dedicated to their job, can find a way to bend the rules for ordinary people when they realize just how much a part of this crooked system that people have a hard time relying on they are in. I just saw this movie Crime 101 with Chris Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo, Halle Berry. It was such a bad movie. It was we will never have to talk about this movie again. It was such a bad movie. But in that movie,
I didn't want to see it.
It was such a bad movie. In that movie, Mark Ruffalo was the cop, and he goes from searching for this bad guy and then like steals a whole bunch of diamonds. And I'm just like, horrible writing. So my point is, this show really knows how to. Oh my God, such a cliche. But I thought that was interesting because initially Alcaraz was like, hell no, I'm not gonna let your little white boy off who, already has, several.
He's gonna get a slap on the wrist anyway.
Exactly. I know,
has
especially Exactly.
opportunity.
All the opportunities in the world. No, I'm not going to let your son off the hook. But then when he realized his son, a product of a public school system, sitting in his own pile of crap because his teachers didn't want to be attentive to him, it's one of them things where it's like, I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you. But how do you pick and choose when to let people get away with crime?
Exactly.
That's
it might be just a gut thing. This might be a gut thing. You guys listen to your gut. Like, recognize that the system is flawed.
Yeah.
And recognize that sometimes you choose gray. You can't choose black or white. Sometimes you got to choose the middle.
That is true. That is very true. And I would say that's the one flaw with this movie is that they let a man somehow still be a hero at the end of the day. I ain't like that, but that's okay. That's okay because otherwise it was still a pretty good show. I was hooked.
It was. Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Immediately.
Yeah.
That was some good writing.
It was some very good writing, very good cinematography, very good acting. I mean,
Marissa.
Oh my gosh. Peter. Oh my gosh.
Ovation. Peter.
I think
played crazy real good.
Oh my gosh.
I need to watch out for you.
Exactly. He's from The Office. I don't know. Like, he's from the later seasons of The Office, but it was nice to see him in that role. And then J.R. Ellis, Lawrence. We know him as Lawrence from Insecure.
He has range. We love it.
He has some range. I always find him a little stiff sometimes, but I did think that he did pretty well. Sometimes I feel like he's like, the way he acts is like he's remembering what the next line is. And then he says it.
Don't make me laugh. I felt like his death was really unnecessary. I was so confused. But then I always say, it doesn't matter what show, a black person has to die in it.
Every time. If there's a token black person, they finna die.
Yeah.
Every time.
So I was like, dang, there he go. The token black guy had to die.
Every time. But he lasted quite long. I felt. I mean, of course, they put him in a relationship with a white woman. And of course, that's just what Hollywood love. Well, Hollywood can't stand to see no black couples, I tell you. But
so many interracial relationships.
And it's like my brother's a product of interracial relationship. Like, I have no problems with it. But goddamn, can I see a relationship like one I'm in on TV? Like, the only show I think so far that is a newer show that is like actually good. It's not like a sitcom but it's like a good drama show is the show Forever on Netflix. I feel like I've told you to watch it and I don't think you have. And I'm punching the mush for it.
I have. This is with the teenagers, right?
You saw it?
I think I did watch it.
Did you watch it? You ain't watch it.
I did. I don't know if I finished it, but I did watch it.
That show is a beautiful love story. Girl, don't fake on that show. That show is a beautiful
First of
love
all,
story.
you know how I feel about like lovey-dovey shows and movies. Like,
you're weird.
I don't know. I can't get into them for real. Like, it takes a lot. It takes a lot to lock me into the stuff like that. I like scary or like thrillers, psychological thrillers.
She does,
like,
y'all. She be watching some crazy Lifetime shows.
I love it. That is what I lock into. This lovey-dovey, gooey.
It makes your heart feel all warm.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, anyway, that has been all her fault. That has been our assessment of the kind of legal and mental interconnections of the characters in that show. We will be diving into a new show. We have to kind of like narrow it down, but I think we said After the Hunt.
I think we did say After the Hunt, which I thought was excellent. Julia Roberts, like, I love her so bad.
That's such a good show. That show sparked such a good debate between me and Akeem. So I'm very excited to chat about it with you.
Absolutely.
Yes. And so that has been our episode. Remember to like, follow, subscribe, all of the things, and tune in back here for our next episode on The Bar and the Brain.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Bye.